Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the podcast. We're so happy you're back. We're so happy to be back. We're recording on a Sunday.
A Sunday. This is a new day that we've recorded.
It's
truly the start of a new week.
So fun. It's the start of a new week. I just got home from church. I still have my church wear on, so enjoy.
We walked in, me and Katie today, and Mom is in this like full-length gown. And it's always super humbling when you walk in sweatpants and Mom is like ready for the gala. But it's so
actually
cute.
Just a regular dress from Anthropology, but thank you.
I mean, it's not a regular dress. Come on.
Come on. We're going to put it in the style guide. I'm going to tell you about the style guide in just a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely Anthro. We are so excited today because we are going to be talking about time management, a little bit of ADHD thrown in there. Productivity, how to really get things done. If you're constantly saying to yourself, I can't get things done.
I don't get enough done. There's not enough time. If that is constantly in your head, you're going to want to tune in. This is going to be such a helpful episode. The three of us, meaning me and my dear Emily and Katie, our producer, the three of us work together. Mm-hmm. And we all have brains that work differently than most people. So we just had a really great discussion about that. And even if you don't have a brain that works like ours, you're going to enjoy this because we are going to share three pretty simple, I think, strategies that will help you turn the tides, that will help you feel like, oh, yeah, I do get a lot done. I have the capabilities.
I have
capabilities. Yes. Turn into Tom.
So that's what's on tap for today. We're really excited.
Yeah.
And all of this started, Emmy, tell our friends how the inspiration for this episode, because we just got back from Lake Tahoe and we both had not a great productive week.
Yeah, we just got back from skiing and it was a great week. It was so fun. But I was gone for almost like a full week and a half from home because we went to Memphis first and then we met y'all in Lake Tahoe. And I got back last Tuesday or Monday. And this whole week, I have just felt so out of it and so off. Like, I was so tired, and I just felt like I couldn't get enough work done, and everything was so hard. And, like, I got things done that I needed to get done, but it felt, like, so hard. And I was talking to Katie on the way here. I was like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm in this, like, rut. Not to be dramatic, but, like, I was like, I just did not get anything good done. I feel so unproductive. And anyway, so we were talking about that. And so we were talking about that earlier. And we had already decided on the episode that we were going to do today about time management. Yeah. And it actually comes at a perfect time for me because this week I really struggled with that. Yeah.
I also think we had a few things happen on the trip that I think will be beneficial to share. This is something that I, in some ways, have struggled with for a long time because I've always known that my brain works differently than most people. I have a very creative brain. I'm very spontaneous. I just, am interested in a million things. My brain is going a mile a minute. Mm-hmm. And sometimes for somebody like that to really focus and get the things done that you want to get done can be a challenge. But over the years, I've really created a lot of awareness around the way my brain works and have decided that this is my genius, that I love the way my brain works.
When you say, like, your brain works differently, what are you meaning? Like, can you explain that?
So I know that it's kind of a buzzword for everybody to say they have ADHD these days, and it's like all over TikTok and all over Instagram. And I would likely never in public describe myself like that. Yeah. But secretly between us, we talk about it some because I knew early on that I was just the type of person who, again, I just knew my brain worked differently. It was hard for me to do like basic things, but then I could like go to med school
excel
and crush. I could excel in so many ways. But then I'm like, why don't I ever know where my keys are? And why do I have trouble unloading the dishwasher? And, you know, like just simple things that other people seem like that normal people didn't seem to struggle with. But also, there was this part of me that could really, really focus on things sometimes, could really get a lot done, could really, you know, churn out so much stuff. I mean, people have been asking me literally my whole life, how do you get so much done? So I know that, you know, and I just know that I am a really productive person. I know how to get a lot of things done, but it's something that I've struggled with because until I had a lot of awareness around it, I just made myself wrong for it. I'm like, gosh, why can't I ever remember where my hotel key is? Why don't I know where my keys are? Why do I never have my check card? Why can't I, you know, it's been this running joke in our family that I can't unload the dishwasher all at one time. I unload the top and then I need a break. And then maybe I can do the bottom.
Else. Yeah. That's exactly how I am. We were joking around earlier because on this trip, actually, I was really beating myself up because first, we're like in the middle of Lake Tahoe on a mountain, and I had my phone in my pocket and I forgot to zip my pocket up, which is like, this has nothing to do with the way my brain works. Well, I guess it does a little bit, but like it was just an accident, and I lost my phone in the middle of the mountain. We had no idea where it was, and like I had no idea how long it had been gone, and luckily hadn't had my location, and we found it. Like, it was a miracle. But I was so mad at myself. Like, literally, I was on, and when you have this pattern of your brain doing this, like you said, like losing your stuff, losing your whatever, like it really is so annoying to me. Like, I know, because I know it's so annoying for everyone else, I feel like I'm just inconveniencing people. We had to take this whole stretch and look for my phone, and everyone had to redirect what they were going to do for the rest of the day because I lost my phone. Like, I was just sitting on the ski lift literally with my goggles on, just tears like streaming down my face, and it ended up being fine, but we found it. Well, the next day we're like walking around the shops and at the Heavenly Resort.
First of all, you guys were already there.
Yeah.
And then I came to meet you. So in true fashion of how we would greet each other, we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was hugging, sitting on a bench.
We hadn't seen each other in like, I don't know, 2 hours.
2 hours. And so I went up to Mom and I was like, oh my gosh, hey girl. And like completely just left my purse on the bench. And we went on with our day. Like, we went to another shop. Or two, and I had no idea, like, it didn't even cross my mind that it wasn't on my shoulder. I was having so much fun. We were looking around the shops, we were giggling, and then all of a sudden I realized that, my purse isn't on my shoulder. Yeah. And, like, I knew suddenly that I had left it, like, a long time ago. They were like, oh, maybe you set it down. I was like, no. It's been like 30 minutes since I've had it, and I was so mad at myself. And like, I tried to hold it together in those moments because there's nothing else you can do but like look for it or whatever. Yeah. And I think, Mom, we relate so much in that part of our brain, and like, love my Haddon, but he like is not like that at all. Like,
well, no, and we were talking about this because most people in your life aren't. And I think Stevie has always secretly thought about me like, okay, why do you lose things so much?
Just remember it.
Just get your stuff.
Yeah, and so in the back of my head, I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally just lost my phone. Now I misplaced my purse. I'm so, like, all these negative thoughts, like, you couldn't remember it. You're so dumb, like, so rude to yourself. And my mom was like walking behind me, and I didn't even say anything to her. I was like kind of obviously stressed, like just beelining to try to find it. And you looked at me and you were like, honey, don't beat yourself up. Like, this is just how we work. It's not like, don't make it mean something negative about you. Yeah. And just being acknowledged at that moment that like,
yes,
it is a like not the smartest thing to do to leave your purse, but like, it's really just, I get so excited about something else that like everything before.
And what I was telling Emmy, I'm like, the thing of it is, you know, label it or don't label it. But if you're somebody who tends to misplace things, what I know about myself is I am going to be having fun and be truly present. I might forget something.
Yeah.
But
in those moments, when you walked up, I was completely...
you were like fully present. We were enjoying each other, laughing, having a good time. And like probably maybe people who have normal brains that work in normal ways are like, oh, let me find my purse. But I'm just so caught up in the moment. And I like that about myself. I like being present. I like being fun. We were actually talking about this with Katie because this happened to us. I can't remember. I think we were on a team retreat and I couldn't find the key to the thing. But I'm like, don't worry, because I got a karaoke machine in my trunk. So we're going to have a good time.
We can kill time. Like, this isn't that big of a deal. Yeah.
And I have just learned over the years. Now, I will say that more so than I used to have, I come up with ways to help myself. You know,
and we're going to kind of talk about ways to help.
Yeah, we will. But also beating yourself up over it and making yourself wrong for it doesn't work.
And I think just hearing you say that, like, it reminded me, yes, it would have been bad if I lost my purse. Like, it's not like you can really convince yourself that, that's not a thing to happen that stinks.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't have to make it this huge negative thing for yourself. And even that, like, took a weight off my shoulder, that it's like, okay, well, even if I did lose my purse, which we did end up finding it, by the way, it was still on the bench. Thank you to everyone.
On the bench.
Thank you to everyone that passed it and did not steal it.
Sweet people in Tahoe.
Yes. But, whether or not I lost it or not, like, it doesn't mean anything about me.
Yeah, we were even talking about, like, because y'all were saying, oh my gosh, you wouldn't even be able to get on the plane if you didn't have your purse. I'm like, actually, that's not true.
Yeah, there's a solution for everything. And not saying that you should go around losing your purse. Like, I was mad in the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you could have that perspective for me in that moment where I was so mad at myself. And I think how this ties into what we're talking about today, like, even this last week, like, I just came in here with such a negative attitude about myself because, I just was dragging on myself, like, oh, I'm not good at time management. This always happens. It's always a cycle. Like, I do so good for 2 weeks, and then there's 1 week that one thing throws me off, and then it's all, like, off, off the table. And, like, telling myself that. Yeah. And, like, you have lived with yourself for so long that you have become so good at not making it a problem for yourself. You work through your brain and how it works.
And I think learning to work with it. So whether or not, you have habits with time or with things that you don't like, or whether you're just a person who constantly says, I don't have time. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so stressed. I can never get things done. Same is true there, that your mindset around the thing is what's so important. Mm-hmm. And because if you keep beating yourself up and you keep saying, I don't have time, and you keep saying, I lose everything, if that's the main thing in your mind, you will keep perpetuating that. And instead, I've really reframed this for myself. One of the thoughts that I have is I have plenty of time to do what really matters.
Yes.
I love that thought. Another thought I have is I love how my brain works.
Yes.
I love that, we were saying this before because I'm often traveling with either Dad or Aunt Gina,
who are like the opposite.
Are just the opposite. They would never lose anything. They would always have everything. And I'm like, look, I love to travel with people like that because I'm like, look, if you can keep up with the room key, I will make sure we have fun. Like, this is going to be great.
And I like what you said when we were talking about it, like, for our personality, something that can keep us so trapped is just keeping it inside and, like,
not talking about it because you're ashamed about it.
You're so ashamed. Like, even this week, and we got back, and I just inwardly was so shamed for myself and, like, guilty that I wasn't doing enough work. And although those things might be true compared to other weeks, like, maybe I didn't do as much work, but, like, perpetuating that and not talking about it, like, today, even talking about it and saying it out loud, like, I feel like I didn't do enough work, and talking about it, like, is so helpful.
Yes.
Because you're not trapped by it.
Yes.
And talking about it with the people around you, like,
I'm sure it helped you when I was like, yeah, me too, because when we got back from the trip, I felt so jet lagged,
which is a normal thing. Like, it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I'm over here, like, guilting myself. And in terms of, like, people who are different, like, for me, like, Kylina, like, people in my life aren't necessarily always like that. And I always feel like the one who's dragging everyone around, like, oh, wait, hold on. I can't find my keys in my car and I can't unlock it. So just 1 second. It's like deep in my purse.
Yep.
I always feel like I'm dragging other people down. But when you talk about it with the people in your life who aren't like that, you can, like, that's what relationships are for.
Yes.
You give and take. Like,
yes.
Dad for you.
Yes.
And Aunt Gina are those people for you. Like, you don't have to have it together all the time because
right.
they can help you do that.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't know that you struggle with that. They don't know that they like their help if you don't
ask.
If you don't ask, you don't talk about it, you don't,
Yeah.
If I would have never brought it up to you, you would have never been like, well, I felt the same way. And
right.
that makes you feel so much better. I was like, why am I making myself feel so wrong for being tired after a trip? Like,
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, and that is one of the things over the last, I don't know, I would say 10 to 15 years. I've always been super productive in certain ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I've just learned that, these are the areas that I'm really skilled in and gifted in, and these are the areas that I kind of work on. But I go all in on the areas that I'm already good at. Mm-hmm. And I do have things in place that help me in the areas that I struggle. But I think you have to change the narrative in your head. You have to quit telling yourself, I'm bad at this, I'm always late, I'm never, you got to really flip that.
Yeah.
And that alone really helps.
Yeah.
I remember I always used to say, I'm not very organized.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the crazy thing, y'all. You've been to my house a ton. You probably come in my house and go, dang, she's organized. Like, everything's in its place. It's always nice. I created that by first stopping the narrative that I'm not organized.
Yeah.
And what happens over the years as I practice the mindset around what I want to create, I become more like that. So I used to say, again, things about like productivity. I struggle sitting for 2 hours to do something, but I can churn out something in 45 minutes that might take some people half a day. So I'm really, really good at that. And I've just learned to reframe it. So we just want to start this episode basically by saying whatever your message is around productivity or around how organized you are, or even, and by the way, we have an amazing workshop coming up about stress. But one of the things that we teach people about stress and overwhelm is you have to stop saying, I'm so overwhelmed. Yeah, because as you say that, you create overwhelm. And so you really have to start to be aware of the messages in your head that you're allowing to go unchecked. So I would first, as we, dive into this, ask you, like, okay, what is your main message around time and productivity, stress, overwhelm, like those kind of things, maybe even organization. And is that what you want to think about yourself? And if you keep thinking that, you're going to create more of what you focus on and create more of what you think about. And so really working on how do I want to think about myself? How do I want to think about time? Mm-hmm. How do I want to think about productivity? And you get to choose. And I think it's just so powerful. It feels like magic to me. It literally, I look at, we used to always joke when we were kids, when Aunt Gina and I were kids, her room would always be impeccably organized, and mine would have stuff everywhere. All over the place everywhere. And I looked at her room one time and and I said to Granny, Mom, I said, I think I want to change rooms with her. And secretly I was thinking, well, hers is always clean. It must be the size of the room. So we switch rooms, and guess what happens?
Yours was still messy.
Now mine is still, looks like, Dennis the Menace or whatever. And then I was like, oh, interesting. Now, so it must be me.
Must be me. Okay.
It's me. Hi. But over the years of really reframing that, I feel like I have so much more control. I have a really organized house. I have a really organized life.
It's so funny because I was in Memphis, and people really are in such awe of how much you get done. And so it's so funny that you view yourself like of struggling with this too, because I think that will be so helpful for people to know that you also because from the outside, it looks like you get an impossible amount done in your business or in your life or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think about that through our conversations. Like, it's so helpful for me to know that you struggle with that same thing, but you have taught yourself
Yes.
how to work around your personality and your brain.
Yeah.
We were even talking today, and Katie had such a good point. Like, you can keep dogging on yourselves for these things that you do constantly. Like, like she was talking about, like, I forget things, or I do this every week. Like, I don't get the things I say I'm going to get done. But then you just keep it at that, and you try to, like, keep pushing to do that, but you don't help yourself. Like, you don't set alarms, or you don't give these things that we have available to us to help us stop. Like, I was talking about scrolling on TikTok. Like, I will get so, and we've talked about this before, like the phones. I think it really does create this, like, mind thing where you can't really have deep focus on things, because we're so used to just screens giving us this dopamine, like, over and over again. And so these long stretches of focus, it's really hard, but we have things in place, like that app that who was it that was telling us about this app that literally locks your phone up? Like, if you really wanted to change these things and have the tools, you can, but you have to be willing to put them in place and know that, okay, it's not a problem, that's just how my brain works.
And, you know, to Katie's point, she's like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to start setting alarms. I'm like, I have an alarming amount of alarms on my phone.
Reminder, ding.
Reminder. And I love that. I mean, it really, really helps me. So you figure out what works best for you, how your brain works. Some people can just remember all the things they have to do.
Yes.
But I need to write things down, and I need a lot of reminders. And I had Dad, set this thing up in the kitchen where I can talk to Siri and have Siri set reminders just as I'm sitting there
as
working.
You're like,
as I'm working, I can just say, Siri, set this reminder. And I don't have any shame around that. Like, I love the fact that I can set up systems that really help me. Now, before we dive into, like, the 3 things that I think have really helped me, maybe this could be a 4th thing, but I just want to say this to people who think I do an amazing amount of things. I am really productive in what I do, but I say no
to a lot.
So much. I really have constrained my life to, I know that I want to have energy for my family. I know I want to have energy to take care of my health. I know I want to have energy for my business. And I have really constrained. So I'm not out running around all the time. I really, I go to the gym in the morning, and then I come home and start working, and then I go pick up Tom, and we don't do a lot of things in the afternoons and evenings. We have a lot of downtime. So it's crazy that people think that.
Like, your real life really looks
it's
very
pretty simple.
Yeah. But to the outside, because you have set up these things to work the way they do, it looks like you're literally doing
everything.
But you have, like, created how you want your life to look.
Yeah, and I also have a lot of help, which I love and acknowledge. And, delegation is probably another skill that we could add to the list. But I really have boiled my life down to, what are the things that I want to do, need to do myself?
Yes.
And what can I delegate that someone else could help me do, or someone else could do. And that really comes down to the people. I want to be there for my people, and I'm the only one who can really do that.
Yes.
And then a lot of these other things, I can have help. I can, do different things. I can take them off the list, which is what I've done a lot, is just take a lot of things off the list.
Yes.
When I was a new mom and I first had kids in school, I wanted to volunteer at school all the time. And I would even when you guys were at Cornerstone, I did a lot of volunteering, and I would go at lunch and volunteer. And I feel like, okay, I've been a mom for 30 years. I have probably put my time in for that.
That's not something you are like.
Yeah, and exactly. And I feel like the time that I spend, with Tom, with you guys, with Dad is really more important. So I think you have to figure out, like, what's really important to you. Like, what are your priorities, and are you really giving the time to the things that you say matter?
Yeah, and probably those priorities change as you...
Yeah, they change with every season. For me, it's almost always the people, that I want to be the priority. But then you have to ask yourself, does the way I spend my time reflect that? So I think time management for me is like getting it's like getting a 10,000 foot view, not just, am I doing things I put on the list, but let's talk about the list. Should those things be on the list?
Yes.
Do I want those things to be on the list? And so, you know, for me, that has been an important part of the process to figure out, like, what do I really want to accomplish? I will say that, you know, I decided this year, this thought kept coming to my mind because there's a lot of things that I could be doing in a lot of areas. And in my business, there's a lot of things that I could spend my time doing. And it kept coming back to me, legacy content. I want to create content that only I can create, that is legacy content that you could find 2 years from now. I really wanted to create something that I feel like would be a legacy to my kids. Like, I want them to know how I think about mindset and emotions and relationships and all of that. So I decided that I was going to write again and start writing. And as I got into the writing, I realized, like, oh my gosh, I've gotten away from doing this really deep, focused work. And it made me realize, like, how scattered my brain had become. And it's been a struggle for me to get back into really focused work writing on one thing, staying deep in that. Yeah, and I mean, I'm still working through it, but it's been good for me. But I think, again, you have to figure out, for you, there's a million things you could do in your life, but what really matters to you? What really matters in this season? And when you narrow your list down to that, I promise you, you have to start saying to yourself, I have time to do what matters. I have plenty of time to do what matters. So I would say that because a lot of times with this topic, like with productivity, we feel exhausted, but then we're still not getting done.
Yeah, I think that was literally
what we want to get done.
Me last week. Like, you're shaming yourself so much by the thoughts of, like, I am so tired. I'm not getting enough done. I'm not getting enough done. What else is there to do? What am I not doing? That you, like, are paralyzed. Yeah,
and the thoughts themselves are what's exhausting you.
Yes.
Instead of because think of when you're really productive, that it feels so good.
There's no shame.
It's so energizing.
Like, when you actually
when you're actually doing things, it's very energizing. So if you feel exhausted all the time, really examine the thoughts. Like, what are the thoughts playing there? And you can change those. So a lot of times when I notice myself in a cycle like that, which I was this week, I was like, oh, my brain keeps telling me, you know, you're not productive, you're not getting things done, and all of that, which makes you exhausted because you're in your own thought loop. And then as soon as I flip that and decide, no, I always get done what really matters. I have plenty of time to do what really matters. I am super productive. Like, and I know that's true. I am super productive when I flip those thoughts and get my mindset in order. So I think that is one thing to pay attention to too. And as we go through the 3 steps that I think will help everybody be more productive, there are some tips in there that I think are truly, truly going to help.
Yes.
But I wanted to point out that exhaustion is often coming from
your own thoughts about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So 3 ways that have helped me double my productivity. I would say 10x my productivity. I feel like I get a lot of good stuff done in a short amount of time because of these 3 things. The first one that I wanted to mention, besides saying no to a lot of things and delegating what you can, but once you have the list of things you really want to be on your list, batching. So a good example of that is what we're doing right now. We're batching this content. So we get together once every 2 weeks. By the way, I love this time together.
Everyone asked me, how is it going, like, driving to Morristown every couple weeks? I'm like, it's the best thing. I see my family so much more. We mix fun into it every time. Like, it doesn't feel exhausting or like we're doing too much. Yeah. It always feels so good.
Yes.
And
then we come out of this and we have podcast planned and podcast recorded.
Yes.
Like, it's that feeling of true productivity. It feels so good. It energizes
and
you.
I have to remind myself of that too, because the weeks that we don't film, you know, obviously, like, I don't spend as many hours, obviously, like, sitting and talking. Yeah. But, you know, it's also your thoughts. Like, we batch and get this done so that on those weeks I can
still have something to.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that. And I think about that in a lot of different areas of my life. Like, when I'm doing something it's kind of like the principle of organizing, that you put like things together when you're organizing. And I think about that with activities. Like, what are some like things that are alike that I could do at the same time? I could spend the morning writing emails. I could, if I've got several emails to write, let me get in email writing mode, because there's a certain mode in your brain that does that. When I want to work on the book, a chunk of time where I could work on book writing. And for everybody, it's something different, but maybe it's like the chores that you do at your house, or, cooking. How can you batch that in some way? Is there some way that you could do that if you wanted to? I know I don't do meal prep once a week, but I know a lot of people who do that. So that would be a similar principle. Mm-hmm. But how could you batch things together that are alike, that kind of use the same part of your brain? And
when you talk about really batch, I know a lot of people work like actual, they don't have as much of the time freedom or the way to in terms of work. Yeah. How would you say
well, even if you had a laundry day, you do all your laundry on one day. Yes. Or you do, you could do your household chores like that. Or you have a certain day that you do things related to. One of the ways that I love doing this is I'll keep a list. I meant to bring my planner down. On my planner, I always have these long sticky notes.
Yes.
And one of the ways that I use the sticky notes is, who are the people that I need to call? I'll have a list of phone calls I need to make. So then I'm in the car, I'll just start calling people. Yes. Or I'll have a list of errands. While I'm out, I need to go by the bank and I need to go by this. So batching things that feel like a similar thing. I'll have sometimes a list of things I want to order on the internet, or things I want to look up on the internet. So instead of, for instance, even when I'm writing, it'll be something will occur to me what's the statistic of women that struggle with whatever? And I'll be instead of stopping the writing, I'll just put it on a list. Things that I want to look up on the internet. So I just started learning, and I learned this in a book years ago. It's called Getting Things Done. I love that book. But he talked about that, how...
That is interesting, because with our brains, that is something that gets me in trouble so many times, is I'll think of something to do and just start doing it.
Yeah.
And then it's what was I even doing
before I did that?
And you stop your productivity in that area, because now you're on the internet looking up random things and you're down this rabbit hole.
Yes.
That is so smart.
Yeah. So if you can divide your lists, because we tend to be list makers, but I divide mine into things like that. When I'm in the car, because I love making phone calls when I'm in the car, or sending, as you guys know, Voxers or whatever when I'm in the car. So I'll kind of save those things that I can do. The other thing for me, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I love listening to things while I'm walking. So just batching things together where it feels this is the time that I do that thing. And then it just makes it easier to get to things, versus if you are trying to do a list where it's I need to run by the bank, and then I need to call such and such, and then I need to you could run around. That's not very efficient.
Well, your brain also for me, I love to check things off, and if my list isn't in order, I'm gonna be doing it in the wrong order, and then I'm distracted, and then the list might as well not even be there, because now I'm doing something I said I was gonna do next week, because I don't want to do the task that would take 5 minutes right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that has really helped me. The second thing is just planning, and I have been, you can look upstairs in we have we just call it our homeschool room, but it's where our big bookshelf is. And I bet there's 30 or 40 planners, journals up there that I've kept from over the years. And when I first started trying to plan, because it's hard for somebody sometimes.
I was about to say, I would love to plan, but I forget to use my planner.
Yeah. And I always did too. And I always made myself wrong for it. And then I just decided, when I learned mindset work, I'm I can either say, I never follow through with planning, or I can go, you know what? Last year I planned for 2 whole months, and then I forgot about the planner, but for 2 months I planned. Mm-hmm. And as I started doing that, then I would notice the next year, I kept up with my planner for 3 months or 4 months. And I don't know how long it took, several years, until I planned.
That planner goes with
day,
you everywhere.
Every month, every year. Yeah. And it's become a huge tool for me and a huge part of my life. I plan on Sunday evenings for the week. I plan every morning for that day. When it's a new month, I spend some time planning. Like, it's become a huge part, not because it's something that I'm naturally good at. I have just trained myself over the years to do it, and I absolutely love it, swear by it. It changed my life. It has made me appear to be, to the outside world, a person who's very organized and has her ducks in a row and gets a lot done. And I am.
But
I've had to
practiced
work at that.
and worked hard to do that.
So at your age, I mean, I kept journals. I never kept a planner then. I started planning probably about 15 years ago, but it took maybe 7 of those before I learned how to consistently plan.
Yeah.
So you got plenty of time, sister.
Whew. Thank goodness, because I am the same way. Like, for a month, I am planning like every second of my day.
Yep.
But it's more.
And another month goes by, and you're like, "Where was that planner again?"
I don't even know where it is. I don't know what the last day I planned was. I don't even know what I'm doing in an hour.
Yes, exactly. The other thing I think is just having good regular routines in place. So I definitely, as you know, underneath the planning, I just have certain things in place that I don't even have to plan because it's just so baked into my routine.
That's the place I'm trying to get to, and I'm definitely have gotten so much better about it. And I notice when it's off.
Yes.
Is like just even simply going to bed early so that I can wake up and work out before I do anything else. Like,
yes,
drastically changes my life, and everything else falls into better place. Like, I eat my groceries that I make when I do that. Things that help other things happen from me waking up early.
And we call that habit stacking, and I think you're exactly right. Planning has been one of those things. It's like a habit stack for me, and it's so baked into my morning routine and just so baked into the routine of my life that now I don't have to try to do it. It's just part of my day.
But you have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. And I love that you're starting so young, because I was much older before.
It does really help that you have this like mindset aspect and like perspective on it, because I so easily just beat myself up. Like, I mean, even literally yesterday, I was looking in my work bag and I was like, oh, there's my planner. Haven't taken that out in probably a month. And, I was
Today's
like hard on myself.
Today's a great day to do it.
Yeah, I'll take it out today.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, that if you're mean to yourself, then you won't take it out. Yes. You'll keep not taking it out. But then if you go, oh, this sounds like a great day to get my planner back out, and you don't make it mean anything that you skipped a month, great. Yeah. You just take it back out now. I got it now. Yes. I'm going to use it to plan my week. This is going to be so great. I'm so glad. And and cultivating that kind of mindset, I am telling you, will change your life in every way, because you'll stop being mean to yourself. You'll stop being so critical. You'll stop hiding from yourself. And then those things that you actually want to do, you'll start doing, because you can do it from a place of want to and desire and abundance and love, instead of a place of criticism and being mean and critical of yourself.
Yes.
So get that planner out, girl.
Oh, I'm getting it out today.
I love it.
Planning.
I know. We teach in Life Mentoring School. We teach Sunday planning, and it's just something that I started doing years ago. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to get a good glimpse of my week, especially when you work from home, because you could do anything with those days. And when I started working from home, I'm like, oh, I want to really plan my week out good on Sundays. And so we were talking about it upstairs, and you guys were like, oh, you mean planning your week like we teach in the program? And
yeah, I was like,
yeah,
Katie, I think we need like on Sunday nights to like meet up and plan our week. And like on Sundays is a good day. And like we were like, oh, like Sunday planning, like Mom has taught for years, and it's in our planners. And what a revolutionary idea, girl. Revolutionary.
Yes, it is.
Hey, but you know what? Now that I've come up with it myself,
you are all in.
I'm all in. It was my idea.
Love it. And I forgot to bring my planner. Maybe we could talk Tommy Boy into getting my planner.
Honestly, this is the most hilarious thing, too, because I was telling Mom, like, until things stem from my own, like, literally my whole life, Mom has been, like, teaching oils classes. And now it's, like, my idea. And my friends are like, oh, my gosh, you have so many oils. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, oils. Let me tell you about the oils that I taught you guys about and that they're my idea.
I know.
Or like healthy. I'll just tell Mom something. She's like, yeah, I've been doing that for like 5 years. I'm like, really? Oh, I thought that was my idea.
That's my idea. We both have good ideas though.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So planning is huge. So take a little time out. Don't beat yourself up for when you don't do it. Rejoice with yourself. Celebrate when you do it. And just ask yourself, oh, did that go better when I had a plan or when I, decided ahead of time what I was going to do? Now, the third thing is a little harder, I think. The third thing is executing the plan. Now,
totally harder.
When it comes to executing the plan that you decided for yourself on Sunday, we always say this when we're teaching our Sunday planning classes. Your Sunday self is really smart. Mm-hmm. She knows all the good stuff that you should be doing during your week.
Yes.
Your Wednesday self, your Thursday self, she's a little rebel. She's not going to want to do it.
She doesn't care what you said on Sunday.
She does not care about your Sunday self.
That's so true.
So you got to have your own back. Mm-hmm. And when you get to that thing, ask me how I know, because there was something I had on my list this week that when I got to it, I don't know what day it was on my list. I think it was Thursday. I totally blew it off. I was still feeling jet lagged. I'm like, not doing
You're
that.
like, I'm tired.
Not doing that today. And I did it today. But here's the funny thing. I was like, I don't want to do that. It's going to take me forever to make this big list of things. And then I got to record a video. I didn't want to do it. But today, I changed my mindset. I'm like, you know what? I could knock this out in 45 minutes before Emmy and Katie get here. And I'll be so proud of myself for doing it. And all the days that I procrastinated and beat myself up over not doing it and was like, I dread doing that thing. It literally took, I'm going to say maybe 20 minutes. Didn't even take 45.
Seriously, it's so ridiculous how we do it.
It's so ridiculous how our brains are.
I know.
So just be onto yourself. You're not going to want to do the thing. And you're going to have to feel a little dread, discomfort. Like you're going to be like angry, like, I don't want to do this. However, be willing to process, feel those emotions, and do the thing. Because I promise you, you want to get a true, really good hit of dopamine that makes you feel so good about your day and so good about yourself. Do the thing that you wrote on your list.
Yes.
It is so satisfying.
It is so satisfying, which is why, like, writing it down is worth it. Even when you forget, like, I want to have that satisfaction. And I think that was part of the reason that I've been feeling like, ugh. It's because, like, I haven't been writing things down. I haven't been, like, being intentional about, like, what I need to do that week,
Yeah. And the other thing that we were talking about, and you would probably love doing this, I always will just try to make it fun for myself, a challenge for myself, a little bit of, like, gamifying it a little bit, especially, like, I knew you guys were coming, and I'm like, man, I could get this knocked out before they're here, and then that'll be energizing for the time that we're going to be together, and it won't be lingering that I still have to do it when y'all are here. And so I will often find ways to kind of make it more fun for myself, make it a game for myself. So when it comes time to actually do the thing that you wrote down, how can you make it more fun? How can you, make it a challenge? Work on your mindset before you do the thing. Like, this is not going to take any time. I'm going to knock this out. I'm going to feel so good when I get this done. And that has really helped me to actually honor my word, do the things that I say I'm going to do. Not perfectly, and I don't beat myself up when I don't do it perfectly, but a lot more than I used to do. I really am not much of a procrastinator anymore. I just do the thing that I say I was going to do.
And I'm going to get there.
You're going to get there, girl.
I'm totally going to get there, and I feel really good about it. It's so funny that, like, you can feel so different. Coming into today, I was just like, you have this guilt about not getting done what you should have gotten done. And it really is as simple as changing your mindset that will make you feel so much better.
Yeah. And one of the words, and I can't remember the first coach that I ever heard talk about this, but she talked about loving discipline. Well, like, we think of discipline and we have a negative connotation, like I should be more disciplined, instead of having this sort of loving discipline, like, oh, I love getting good at things. I love getting skilled at things. I love creating disciplines for myself that really serve me
and challenge me
and make me feel so productive. And I think if you can flip that, instead of having like a negative connotation to that discipline, like I think I saw one time on Instagram, I'm like, oh, there's a lady called the self-discipline coach. And I was like,
ew, don't want that. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Just the title of that. I'm like, But when I think about it as like who I want to be, who I want to become, I want to be a person that really has this sort of loving discipline, that I can trust myself to do what I say, that I've cultivated skills that serve me. Because I was telling the girls, like, it's not just in work. For me, it's like these skills translate into home. And people ask all the time. We have to do a podcast on this because so many people ask about creating a loving home and a beautiful home, and, you know, even like decorating and all the things surrounding being a homemaker. It's the same skills.
Yes.
It's getting good at doing the things that you say you want to do. You say you want to cook more at home. Well, how can you, in a loving way, create a discipline for yourself, make it fun for yourself? You know, when I first started, I remember I did not learn how to cook, you know, when I was younger. I didn't learn those skills. And I remember you guys being little and me going, why are these people hungry all the time? Like, this is crazy. And I started taking cooking classes. Rachel Ray was really big back then, so I ordered like actual DVDs and I watched Rachel Ray on DVDs.
I love that.
I know. And I taught myself how to cook, and I taught myself how to make bread. And now I can throw a meal together. I've got sourdough upstairs sitting on the counter. Like, I can do it fast now without much effort because I've built the skill. So all of these things we're talking about translate into so many areas of your life. So.
Yes.
Loving discipline.
I know that is definitely hard, but it's funny because it's the same thing. Like, because you let yourself love it and teach yourself how to get better at these things, from the outside, people are almost jealous of your level of discipline.
Yeah.
When you put so much work.
I'm like, oh, I worked for this.
Yes, this is not just my natural state of being. Like, I put in a lot of work, and I think it's inspiring to me because I feel like so far from being like a very disciplined person. But even sometimes my friends will say, like, in the way I am with fitness, like in certain things, they even say that about me.
Yes.
When I don't see that in
when
myself.
You don't see it yourself. Yes. And cultivating it. It's just like we talked about at the beginning, cultivating the mindset of what you want to become. So you just start saying to yourself, I have such a loving discipline with myself, with the things that are important to me.
Yeah.
I'm really disciplined with, you know, the things that I want to do. You start believing that, saying that, practicing the thought, and then pretty soon you look around at your life and go, hey, I'm pretty disciplined.
Like, look at what I've built. Look at what I've done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. So I hope that's helped you. I think a lot of times we just carry a lot of shame around this issue, and I just want people to feel the freedom of, you get to write the story.
Yeah.
You get to write the narrative. You start believing and telling yourself the things that you want to create. So I just started saying, I'm really organized. I really use my time well. I don't procrastinate. I get things done that I want to get done. And I started practicing the thoughts and practicing the mindset, practicing the execution, doing the planning, and pretty soon, a few months, you notice a lot of difference. A year later, you notice even more difference. I look now, and it's been 10 or 15 years, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I spent time getting good at those things.
So awesome that you didn't use how your brain worked against you and you didn't make it a problem. I think that's a lot of what people struggle with, because we're told it's this big, like, block of getting to things that you want, and that you need to fix it some other way.
Yes.
But you can work with yourself, and beautiful things will come from how you were created to work.
Yes.
But you have to be willing to be disciplined and work with yourself and work with how your brain works, instead of just sitting in that and being like, well, I'm so ADD, I can't
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
it is something a lot of people struggle with. We struggle with it a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you sit in that guilt and just accept that that's how you are, then you won't ever get better.
I think that's such a good first step, and being kind to yourself and appreciating how your brain is. I am so grateful for how God made me.
Yeah.
I love how my brain works, and I'm thankful that I've learned how to work with it and create really things in my life that I really wanted to.
Yeah, and I'm definitely getting there. I still have moments where I'm like really hard and beating myself up, but the more that I talk through it and try to explain where I'm coming from and be kind to myself, the more I see the beauty in how I operate. But it takes people, like, I'm so thankful for your point of view, because sometimes I do feel so misunderstood with the way I'm coming about things or the way I do things or what my brain, like, it just, I feel misunderstood and then I beat myself up. But, like, you kind of, you know, opening up and telling me that you struggle with the same things, like, it's so hard to believe now, because I'm like, you literally get everything done, but you do, because you've worked through those things, and it's really inspiring. I know for me, and I know for, like, me and Katie, sometimes just have to have a moment where we're like, okay, we're not that bad, we can move past this, we can use our brains.
And being really celebrating, I think, the progress that you do see. Being kind to yourself when it doesn't work out how you want, and celebrating.
Yeah, like even a year ago, like I have much improved in a year.
Yes.
And that's only going to keep happening.
I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Em, but when we were homeschooling, you were always needed to be moving. Mm-hmm. And so you would be doing gymnastics on the wall, and I would be reading the book. And I remember that my tendency would be like, no, you need to sit down so you can listen. And then I don't know, maybe I was learning enough about it back then, but I just remember going, no, just let her do the thing. And when I would ask you about the stories,
I would remember, you would have every detail.
And you would be the whole time doing the splits, kicking up into a handstand, doing cartwheels. Like, it appeared that you weren't listening, but you were taking it all in. And again, I think it's just honoring how we're made, not making ourselves wrong for it, but also not making excuses for it.
Yeah,
and
I think there's a balance.
There's a balance. Yeah.
You know, you are also in control.
Yes.
And you,
way more than you think.
Yes. This reminds me, this is hilarious and this is totally off topic, but this weekend we had friends over, and I'm just so blessed to have friends that, like, we can, you know, spill these things about ourselves that we are not perfect. And we were all sitting around, like, exposing ourselves as children, and, like, you would just do weird things as a child. And I, like, told them the story I told on the podcast of how I, like, stole Taylor's computer and hid it, and we were just all exposing these, like, really raw things about our childhood. And this is just so funny, but I used to want to be in a cast so bad, like an ankle cast. And
my goodness, I love it.
Do you remember this? Like, I don't know why I was, like, obsessed with, like, wanting crutches or, like, wanting to hurt myself. And so I would be upstairs, like, trying to break my ankle so bad. And
wow. I did not know
that,
this.
like, came to me, and I was like, that is, like, so psychotic that I was upstairs, like, trying to...
I need to be in a cast.
I wanted to have crutches so bad. I was so jealous when people would pass me in crutches, and I wanted people to sign my cast. So I was upstairs, like, trying to break my ankle, and I remember I was like,
oh, it's harder to break your ankle.
No, you, like, literally can't break your own ankle. Like, that is so messed up. And I remember it would be kind of sore because I'm, like, literally stretching it so far, and then I would, like, have you put a wrap on it. It was never broken. Anyway, I thought that was just so funny. Like, why were you doing that? You can't do anything with a broken ankle. You can't break your own ankle.
It's a lot harder than
just for crutches. Like,
for crutches.
What?
We gotta get you some crutches, girl. Let you live out your childhood fantasy.
Yes, seriously.
I love it. All right, well, let's do our favorite things. Are you going first, or am I going first? Okay, I'm going first. Well, no surprise here. My planner. You guys, listen, we are about to do a launch in Life Mentoring School. The workshop is called The Art of Living Well. If you're listening to this when it comes out, the workshop is next week. So it's May 13th, 14th, and 15th. ediewadsworthcoaching.com/livingwell. Do not miss this workshop. It's all about stress and overwhelm. It's all about how to break free from those things so that you can master your emotions and create your life on purpose, create the life you want. I'm going to be sharing things that I've never shared before in a workshop. But also, if you decide through that workshop to join us in Life Mentoring School, you can get our dream planner. You guys, I designed this planner 100% to go with how my brain works and to go right along with our program. I use it all the time. I love it so much. We're about to get a brand new cover. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this is the cover that we've had, which is so beautiful. We'll have a new cover because we do our journals, our planners in 90-day cycles. So the new one will have a brand new cover. I can't wait to get it. So our planner is definitely always one of my favorites.
It really is so helpful when I remember to use it. I'm like, why do I stop using this? This is literally life-changing. I love when I use it.
I can't wait to show you upstairs my old planners where I would stop using them in February.
I need to see that because that's every planner. But
yes,
I'm going to pick it back up today.
We're going to pick it back up. And then the second thing that I'm loving, Emily May found an old Flickr account.
Oh my gosh.
That I used to upload
what even is
photos.
Flickr?
It used to be like a photo where you would upload photos and then you could import those photos into your blog.
Oh, okay.
So when I was in the blogging days, I uploaded all my photos to Flickr and then I could put them on the blog. Yeah. And so Emmy found an old Flickr account and I thought I would die when you started sending us photos from that.
I was at Katie is so famous on this podcast. Like, I can't go 5 seconds. We need to have like a tracker of when Katie is mentioned.
Yes.
But I was at Katie's house and we were like working and our other friends came over and I like found this account because I was on her blog. Like, I'll just be beat bopping around her blog sometimes, as we have said. And I like clicked on one of the pictures and I was like, oh my gosh. We always have said that since the house fire, like, we don't have that many, like, there are photos that we will never see again just because they burned and they weren't saved. But so every time we find like a treasure trove of your blog pictures that we've not seen, it's like opening my eyes to memories that I like totally forgot. And I was just sending them all these pictures and I sent Dad some and there were so many sweet ones. I was like locked into my computer for like an hour just like
yeah, it was
wanting to cry.
It was so good. So I'm obsessed. I keep going back to it and scrolling through the pictures. But yeah, that Flickr account has given me so much life. And those pictures of Dad, you got when y'all were flying a kite on the beach and like, oh my gosh, just
the sweetest pictures. I know.
The third thing is I want to say crazy yoga. Is that what it's called? The CRZ, crazy yoga? It's crazy yoga. Did you introduce it to me? No, somebody at my gym introduced it to me.
Yeah, but we were like in line.
We were buying it at the same time and we didn't know. So anyways, if you haven't bought these yoga pants, they're in our Amazon store, I think. We'll put them in there before
I'll link them, yes.
But they're better than Lulu, better than Athleta.
Seriously?
Light butter,
so
pockets
amazing.
on the side, high-waisted.
They have like a
amazing
variety of like everything too. I have their sports bras. They're good. They have matching sets. They have biker shorts, they have running shorts, they have a lot of stuff, but their leggings specifically are like top notch, so good.
By the way, since you guys are here tonight, we're doing the open workout, the CrossFit open workout tomorrow.
What is that?
At the gym. It's the first.
Me and Katie were like, are we gonna do CrossFit tomorrow?
Well, you have to because it's the open workout. And it's snatches, dumbbell snatches, and burpees. So sorry.
Good. Katie's not okay. I'm not okay.
But we'll wear our crazy yoga pants.
Yeah, and it'll make it all okay.
Great. Okay.
Good to know. My heart is pounding. Okay, so I have to give you guys an update because I talked last time about how I was going to get this tattoo. And like at the time I was like, I probably won't get that tattoo. But I like actually got it.
You're watching on YouTube. You should come over to YouTube, House of Joy YouTube, and see Emmy's
watch them on YouTube.
Yahweh tattoo.
So entertaining. So it's the Yahweh tattoo. I actually got it, and I'm obsessed. I love it, and
it's really cute.
It's really cute. So that was just an update. My first favorite thing is this ring that I just got, and I'm obsessed with rings.
You
I
are
just
obsessed with
I've
rings.
always loved rings.
And you make me want more rings.
I know.
And then I don't wear them as much.
So I got this one, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the brand. What is it called? Spinelli?
Something.
There's another word on it, but they're really expensive, and they're like $3,000. And I've just always had a dream of like having one. But on Etsy, this girl, it's called Belief Goldfield, or I have it linked, and I will link it for you. But she makes like gold-filled Spinelli like dupes, and she has a ton on there, and literally you can't see.
Well, if they're on YouTube, they can see.
But it's so cute, and I wanted to test it out to see if one day I would actually ever want a real one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, do I even need ever a real one? Because this one is
so cute.
So cute, and it doesn't turn your finger, and I love it. So that was my first one.
Love it.
My second one is I've been trying to implement Pilates into my weekly exercise routine, just because I forget, like, we were in ballet for so long, and like ballet is like similar movements where you're working those like really small tiny muscles. So I've been implementing that into my weightlifting weekly, and let me tell you, it's so hard. I do these videos. It's called Form. It's by Sammy Clark, and she has an app, but you have to pay monthly. But the videos, you'll watch the video and you're like, that's not too bad. And literally, it's like you have no weight, and your like arms are literally shaking so bad. But I've liked just mixing up my workouts, and I obviously do some weightlifting at the gym, but I've liked implementing some Pilates.
Oh, I love that.
So I've been doing that. I'll have to show you the app because it's really good. The last one is I get really hyper fixated on things, and for like 6 months I was like smoothie every day. Like my smoothie routine was
smoothie game
a non-negotiable, and then I stopped drinking them for like 3 months because I like didn't want them anymore. But I'm back on my smoothie grind, and I use the Young Living.
We were making smoothies in Tahoe.
Yes, that's what started it back. It reignited in my brain, and it's so crazy because I use the collagen and the greens from Young Living.
Yep.
And when I stopped drinking them, I noticed a complete shift in my nails, the strength of my nails. Like,
wow.
With the collagen, it really, really works. This is not even trying to be crazy, but it really works. So I started doing that. My actual favorite thing, though, is wild blueberries
from
Trader Joe's.
Yes, they're so good, and they're teeny.
They're teeny, and I'm obsessed. And sometimes I'll just be eating them.
And they're frozen, by the way.
They're frozen wild blueberries, and they're just so small, and something about it is so like satisfying in your smoothie.
And what we were doing, and I love to do this at home too, is we were just trying to clean out the fridge.
Yeah, basically. We were trying to use everything.
So
you're like dumping so much yogurt.
It had so much spinach. So normally, if I were going to make one at home, I'd do what you're doing: collagen, greens, spinach, yogurt, all the things. Blueberries, or whatever, protein powder. But we just made them there with all the
and they were so good.
The veggies and the fruits and it was so good.
But a smoothie, and especially we're getting into the springtime, I can just feel the smoothie like hyperfixation budding inside of me.
It's gonna be great.
And I just love a smoothie. So yes.
Love it.
Those are my favorite things. This was a great one.
Guys, this was so fun to talk about. Thank you for being here. We love having you on House of Joy. Listen, if you are enjoying this podcast, and so many of you have written to us, written reviews, sent us messages on Instagram telling us you love the podcast, please share with a friend. Go leave us a review. We so appreciate it when you do that.
It seriously means so much. Y'all's kind words and intentional. Like, you can tell they just love listening, and it means seriously
a lot.
The world.
And Emme runs our House of Joy Instagram, so go over there and see her, and she's way better.
I will eventually get back to your
I
have to sometimes research some answers because I want to be like, sometimes be like, Mom, what is the answer to this question? But I will eventually. get back to all of them.
Yes. So thank you for sending us messages there. Thank you for leaving a review. We love you so much. We appreciate you being here. If you haven't yet registered for our upcoming workshop, you guys, we do workshops like nobody does workshops. This is a $7
Seriously.
workshop that is like 3 days of such great teaching. We put you in a Facebook group. We're doing $5,000 worth of giveaways and scholarships.
Woo!
It's going to be fire. So if you haven't registered yet, go get registered. ediewadsworthcoaching.com/livingwell. And we will see you next time.
Yes, we love you guys.
Bye,
Have a
y'all.
good week.